back to my channel.
You should see me in a crowd. I'm gonna run, there's nothing to help.
I'm Shelby. If you're new to my channel, hello, please subscribe because I'm a loser and have no subscribers. This is my friend Karlie. Maybe she'll make you want to subscribe if you're not subscribed already because she's pretty cool. Today, you want to tell them what we're doing?
We are going to be talking about our experiences at
customer
service, but we've worked at Subway together. If you haven't worked in like customer service or like retail or anything, like I feel like when we tell people about how dramatic people are, like just about like their food or just about like the most stupid things, like people do not believe us, and I'm like, no, they get pretty freaking crazy, and they just they're rude. Like psycho. Honestly, it's crazy how disrespectful like people can be. Some of the things we can't even like help, like there's certain rules that we have to follow, and I think that they just don't understand that. So there's a rule at Subway that, well, there wasn't before, but usually for like the whole like corporate rule, I guess, is we can't serve breakfast after 11. We usually don't care. Like if we have eggs ready, like we'll make you a breakfast sandwich at whatever time. I guess someone had complained about their eggs like not getting heated up enough, and they were just like cold or
which
something.
is so dumb because that can happen at any point in the day. Like they're not going to be warm just because it's morning time.
I think that people think that like they're already like everything like that we have is like already warm, which it's not, and I don't understand like why people don't get that. Like everything's refrigerated like in that section, you know. I think it's just like pretty common sense, like you should know that. Do you know that the lady that comes in all the time and she gets like the eggs and everything on top, like, and she's super
but she doesn't
picky,
does she not get bread?
No.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
She's not like scary, but like if you don't do like exactly what she asked, she just freaks out over everything, and she's like, well, the other girl did it this way. And that is my biggest pet peeve, is when like you would open and I would do something wrong and they'd be like, well, the other girl does it this way, and I'm like, I'm literally doing it the same, it's just like a different route that I'm taking, and they don't comprehend that. But anyways, we should probably get into like our more intense
There's a lot
stories.
of things, like this video could be so long.
So I guess we'll start with Subway, since we both worked there together. So we have a drive-thru at Subway, and we usually don't like open the drive-thru until 11 a.m. because just during like the morning hours, it's not busy at all like for drive-thrus, and so it's just kind of pointless, and it's annoying to wear the headset too. Our drive, like the, what is it called, like the like where like the menu is and like the sensor, like where you pull up, it really is like, it's not upgraded, I guess, and so it's really like it just looks like run down, and everyone like doesn't think that our drive-thru like works. But the people that know that it works, like even if they know that like we're not open, they will drive up to the window. Obviously, if I don't like answer you, we're not open, like our drive-thru is not open, so don't freaking come up to the window.
Or some people just like pull forward before they even try to wait at the speaker. They'll just pull forward because they'll be like, oh well, I didn't know it was open.
Anyways, this lady was like sitting at the drive-thru, and so I opened the window, and she doesn't even like say like hi or anything. She just immediately starts going off and like telling me what she wants. She's like, I need a kids meal turkey, blah blah blah, and I was just like, whoa, like calm down, like first of all. And I told her, I like literally, I was so annoyed that morning anyways, and so I was just like standing there waiting for her to stop talking, and she wouldn't stop, and so I just cut her off, and I was like, okay, this lady's not gonna leave the drive-thru, like I'm just gonna have to take her order through the window whether I like it or not, just to save me an argument with this person. And so I like cut her off, and I'm just like, hold on, let me go get a piece of paper so I can write down your order and then go make it. Because we don't have like a register where we like punch everything in. If you have the headset on and if the drive-thru's open, it's so much easier to take your order right there, because then they can just tell you what they want, and we're super fast at the Subway that we work at least I think we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten told that we're a really good Subway.
Right, so it's easy for us to like make the order as people are saying it, but if you pull forward, like either we have to memorize it, which sometimes we can, but if someone has like 4 sandwiches, we're not going to be able to memorize it. Like we're going to have to write it down and then go up front and make the sandwiches.
Yeah, and it's more complicated that way too, because I went to go grab a piece of paper, and I came back and I could tell she was so irritated with me, and she was just staring at me like and I was like,
I know who the lady is too, because she would come in when I would work, and like if you are not nice to her, like she will not be nice to you. Like she had a very much of like a resting bitch face, and like she just was pissed all the time, and so I always tried to be really really nice to her, and I warned Karlie about her. I literally warned her, and I was like, there's this lady that's just gonna pull forward and order a kid's sandwich for her kid, and she never comes inside. She will not come inside, so just be prepared right now.
Anyway, so I come back and she's just like super irritated with me, and I look at her and I'm like, I literally said, are you gonna like tell me your order, or like am I just gonna sit here all day? Like I was like, I have shit to do, lady. And she was just like so irritated with me, and she just looks at me and she literally goes, you don't look very happy to be taking my order. And I just looked at her and I was like, I literally just asked you what you wanted. She's like, well, if you don't want to take my order, that's fine, I'll just go somewhere else. And she like slowly is like starting to pull away. And I'm just like looking at her like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like I literally like just, you know, was like, whatever, I'll take her order, like I'm not gonna deal with this. And still, she still gets mad at me and it's just like, no, it's fine, I'll go somewhere else. I think I had like said something to her and I was just like, I'm literally like, I'm here to take your order. Like I already told you that I take your order at the window, so why are you being rude to me, you know? And she was just like, what's your name? And I looked at her and I was like, I don't think I have to give you that information. And she started rolling her eyes and like shaking her head. I was just like, do you want me to take your order or not? Like I literally said that to her because I was just so irritated at this point. And she's like, no, I'll just go somewhere else. And she drives off. After she left, I knew she, like you can just tell when someone's gonna call corporate, and usually if that happens, like, you know, we can get yelled at by our boss and like whatever. It's kind of just, it's annoying. So our boss was in the back doing ice, and so I just wanted to let him know like beforehand what had happened, just in case she did call corporate. Kind of told him the story. I was like, I told her I'd take her order, but I told her that our drive-thru wasn't open until 11. I was like, she got irritated with me and she just kind of drove off and told me, oh, she also told me that I had a really bad attitude. And I was just like, well, what do you expect? I already told you that the drive-thru wasn't open and you proceeded. Like the thing is, like when you, I think it's so rude, like when people just come up to you immediately. Like, have you ever been like cleaning or something like up front or like doing something and they obviously can see you doing it and they're just like, hi, can I get a tuna on wheat? And I'm like,
you're like, hi, can you give me a chance to wash my hands and put some gloves on?
Yeah, I'm like, and I literally tell them too, I'm like, I'll be with you in just 1 second. They just immediately just start going and I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so I told him about it and he kind of didn't really like seem to care. He was just kind of like, okay, it sounded like you did the right thing, like whatever. And apparently he did get a corporate call, but he didn't really make a big deal out of it. But yeah, people are just...
The lady never came back though.
Yeah, I haven't seen her since.
She never came back after.
Yeah, she's probably really irritated with me, but...
So, this one time, there was this guy that came in with a bunch of other people. Like, during lunchtime, it gets pretty busy, like, obviously, because it's lunchtime, everybody wants lunch. And there's a lot of, like, construction workers that work around the subway we work at. Well, I don't work there anymore, but the subway that I used to work at, that Karlie works at.
Literally 90% of our customers during lunch are construction workers.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of construction workers or, like, moms and, like, their families. Yeah. But anyways, so this huge group of construction workers comes in, and, like, sometimes the majority of them don't know very good English, and so we try our best to like communicate with them with like out being rude, because like it's hard because like we don't know Spanish and they don't know good English, but we try our best. This one guy came in and Karlie was making a sandwich and he ordered like a meatball on whatever kind of bread, like a meatball on white and then like cheese, and he wanted it toasted. So Karlie put it in the toaster like normal and she started making other sandwiches because there was a bunch of people in line, and this guy didn't know very good English at all, and so she already was struggling like making his sandwich in the first place, and then it got to the point of like veggies, and I'm the one that was supposed to be doing the veggies, so I took it out of the toaster. I'm like using my hands like, this is what I did. So I took it out of the toaster, put it down, and then I asked him like, what veggies? Because that's what we do, and he's like, it to toast.
Yeah, he literally said it to toast. And I was, okay, it's so funny too, like, when, like, situations like this happen and, like, your other coworker is dealing with something, like, you're always doing something else, especially if it's during lunch.
Yeah.
And so you're listening to what, like, your customer is saying to you, but also at the same time you can hear, like, what's going on, and you're kind of just like, are you serious?
What?
Like,
so I'm, like, trying to, like, deal with this guy, and I'm like, it's too toasted? And he's like, it's too toast. Like, that's all he was saying is, it's too toast. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, so do you want a new sandwich? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, do you want, like, new meatballs? Like, are the meatballs too, like, overcooked? And he's like, no, bread to toast. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, do you want new bread? And he's like, yes, new bread, meatball on new bread. And so I'm like, okay. So I get, like, the bread he had like Italian or whatever, and I like got the meatballs and I just
Didn't you asked him before, right?
Yeah.
You said, is it okay? So
I'm like, do you want new meatballs or do you want these meatballs on new bread? And he's like, meatballs on new bread. And he like pointed to the meatballs. So I'm like, okay. So I got the meatballs and I dumped them on the new bread. And I'm like, do you want it toasted again, like for half the time? And he says, no, good like that. So I'm like, okay, so I had dumped the meatballs on the new bread, okay? So the bread's fresh, the meatballs are the ones that were already cooked, they're on fresh bread, I do his veggies, and like all is well, right? So we thought. So then, like later that day, my mom starts talking to me, and my mom's like, your boss got a call from corporate today about some guy that said his sandwich was overcooked. So he called corporate and like said that his meatballs were burned, and so my mom's like, yeah, I guess some guy said like his sandwich was burned and all this stuff. And like I thought, oh, it must have been like someone from later that day because I didn't even put two and two together. Well, then the next day at work, my boss is like, yeah, some guy said that you guys cooked his meatball sandwich too long and wouldn't make him a new one. And I was like, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So then finally I realized it was that guy. And I was like, what in the heck do you mean? And so anyways, my boss had to call the guy and like apologize and be like, oh, we're so sorry, our employees are awful and burnt your sandwich. Come in for a free sandwich next time. So then he comes in a couple days later and he just like goes up to whoever's ringing him up, which was some girl that wasn't even there on the day that his sandwich was burnt and didn't even know like what had happened. And he just goes up and says, I get for free. And she's like, what?
Yeah, she's like, I don't think
like,
so.
I get for free today. And she's like, what the heck? And so I looked at him and I'm like, oh, you're the one that called about the burnt sandwich? And he's like, yeah. And like, cause I didn't even recognize him, to be honest.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember who the guy was, cause like I once again didn't think it was like a big deal. Right. And so then like I had to tell like Sarah like, oh, it's the guy that we burnt his sandwich, like he gets it for free. And then we had to tell her the whole story and she's like, that's so dumb.
Well, the thing that was so dumb about this was that he told corporate that when his bread was burnt and his meatballs were burnt. And first of all, the toaster that we use at Subway, it hardly never burns your bread. Like
hardly never or hardly ever?
Hardly ever, sorry. Hardly ever burns your bread, and if it does, it's because it's been in, like, we don't...
way too long.
Yeah, and, like, the timer...
It yells at us if it's in there.
Like, literally, like, every 5 seconds that you leave it in there, it beeps again, and so we kind of, you know, like, your anxiety builds up, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta take that out before I forget about it or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I've never burnt bread, ever.
There was one time that one of our coworkers put a meatball sandwich. She might kill me if she watches this because she was so embarrassed. So sorry if you watch this. So she put a meatball sandwich in and like she didn't start the timer, and so like 8 minutes had passed and I like go to do this next person's veggies and they're like, where's my sandwich? And I'm like, what? And they're like, my sandwich never came out of the toaster. And first of all, I was thinking, you dumb bitch, why didn't you tell me that your sandwich is still in the toaster? Where's their sandwich? And she's like, oh no. And so we opened the toaster and the meatball sandwich is black. Like the bread is black, the meatballs are black, but the meatballs were still just fine. Like we took them out and you could still eat them. Like they were perfectly fine.
There is really no way that this guy could have had burnt meatballs.
Yeah,
like
that's really like the cheese was burned on that one that she left in there too long.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even the meatballs, it was the cheese. Like the meatballs, even though they were in there for like 8 minutes, they were A-okay. So that guy was just a dumb idiot.
Did my sister ever tell you about the guy that complains about the ice cream all the time and how he always wants a medium but there's only a small and large and he tries to get a medium all the time?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
That guy is so like rude all the time. Like I don't know what it is about people, and like his grandkids are such little brats too. Like they come in and they're just so rude and like disrespectful, and they like act like the world revolves around them. I don't even know my point of this, but it just
they're just annoying customers.
He's done so many things that have just annoyed me, and like I guess more the people that live here, they're like I would say that they're like more wealthy in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of like a town where everyone, like, if someone gets something, someone else has to get something nicer and so on. Like, everyone competes with each other.
It's a competition.
It's so dumb, but yet they all want stuff for free when they come into Subway.
And, like, they'll complain about these stupidest things. So, obviously, we have a rule that we can't serve bread, like, at least for, like, at least till the bread's cool, okay? And, like, when you touch the pan, it has to be cool for you to be ready to serve it, because if you just take it out of the oven and it's still warm and you try to cut it, the bread just kind of like collapses.
Well, and it's too hot to touch, and you can burn yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes.
And so this guy, you can see the bread that it's cooling, and he could see that there was Italian urban cheese right on top. And he kind of like gave me a dirty look, and he was like, well, I can see Italian urban cheese right there. And I was like, well, I can't serve that to you because literally I just pulled it out of the oven 5 minutes ago. And I was like, I can't serve it to you until it's cool enough. And he goes, well, how long is that going to take? And I said, probably like 20 to 25 minutes. And this is the part that just irked me so bad. Like when people try to like
act like they know the law.
act like they know how to do my job. And I'm like, how do you know like what rules we have? And like you can literally like burn yourself on bread if it's hot enough too. So if we gave that to a customer, they could come back and like sue our asses or something.
Like that lady that sued McDonald's over her coffee spilling on her lap. Like, we don't want that happening.
Exactly. And so he literally looked at me and he was like, I don't think it takes 20 minutes for bread to cool down. And I was like, well, it does, and if you want to wait, you're welcome to, but if not, I have these choices that you can pick from. And I kid you not, he stood there, and by the way, there was another lady in line behind him, so he stood there and like, he was like, well, let me think, and I was just like, okay, and I like literally stood there and like had gloves on and everything, was just waiting for him to tell me what he wanted. I legit probably stood there for 5 minutes. I'm not even, like, that doesn't seem so long, annoying. But it's so annoying. Long when you are like literally just waiting on someone to tell you what they want.
And when you're trying to help someone else too.
Yeah, and like the lady was like looking at me like in awe that this guy was taking so long, and she was just like, you could just tell that she was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Oh, we were out of stuff that day too. I think we were out of turkey or something. He wanted I think he wanted a BMT, and we didn't have ham. And so that comes with like salami and pepperoni and ham, and we didn't have ham, and so I told him, I was like, well, I can make you a spicy Italian, which is like just the salami and pepperoni, but I don't have ham, we're out. And he like literally rolls his eyes and he's like, oh my god. And I'm like, I literally can't do anything about this. Like, why are you
There's a subway down the street, sir.
Literally, there are so many subways in this town. Like, that are not very far away. I'm like, just go to another subway.
They're all within 5 minutes of each other. Seriously, there's like 4 within 5 minutes of each other.
But yeah, this guy was just ridiculous. He was just irritated that I literally like there's just rules that we have to follow.
And did he end up leaving?
Oh yeah, so he literally, after he stood there for that long and like asked me all these questions, and I felt bad because everything that he asked me about we were either out of or like I couldn't make because of whatever reason, and it was just a crazy night for us, and it was just not good. And he just got so irritated, and then he didn't say anything to me. He was just sitting there staring at the menu board forever again. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this guy gonna order, or like, is he gonna leave? And he had asked me like one more question. I can't remember, but the whole point of this is that he was just irritating. And then he stood there again for like another 5 minutes, and then he just walked away, and I was like, so he basically wasted like 10 minutes of my time just arguing with him over the dumbest shit. He's came back a couple times, and like, I swear every time that he comes in, he's always so irritated with at least something. Like, he'll ask me if like the bread is fresh, or like, I had some lady come in and ask me like what was like the freshest or like the softest bread of the day.
I've had people do that.
And I was like, I don't know. The
grand finale of this video. We're definitely going to make more, so keep an eye out for those within the next couple weeks of more crazy Subway stories or customer service stories. This last story is probably the craziest experience that I've personally have. A lot of my other coworkers said they've also never had anything this crazy happen.
Like, I've had crazy things happen, but I don't think I've had anything like, be that like crazy. Emotional.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to tell you guys the story about the one time where I made a customer cry. So this was a long time ago. No, I'm just kidding.
That should be your what is it called?
We made a customer cry.
Yeah,
I'll put that in the thumbnail. One morning, I was supposed to work until 9:00 a.m. and then Karlie, dearest, right here, was coming over to take the rest of my shift so I could go buy Billie Eilish tickets.
Oh, I remember. Shout out to Billie.
So Karlie was coming in at 9, and I had like an appointment or something too. Like, I had a real reason.
I think you had a no appointment.
I had like an actual reason, but I always just say it's because I was buying Billie tickets.
Well, I didn't care. I was like, go buy your freaking tickets. Right. I don't care. I'll work for you.
So Karlie was coming in at 9, okay, and I know that sounds irrelevant, but it's not irrelevant. So Karlie was coming in at 9, and so, you know, I was just trying to like get all the bread done and try to get things like in tip-top shape for Karlie when she got there, so she didn't have to do any of that. Well, for some reason, this day was hella busy. It's like the one freaking day where I'm, 1, supposed to leave early, and 2, someone else is coming in to cover my shift. That it's like crazy, and things are literally psychotic. Like, I was behind on bread, like I needed to make food, like it was just, it was crazy.
It's the worst when your mornings are busy too, because that is when you have to do everything. It's like
literally
for lunch.
it's so annoying. So this day, apparently there was a field trip going on the school, like right down the street from the Subway we work at. So like every freaking mother in our little town and their dog came in to get Subway sandwiches for their kids for the field trip. So obviously, like with all these kids coming in, I was like, whoa, like what's going on? Like there's so much kids here, and all the parents were like, oh, like they're going on a field trip, so we're just like getting them sandwiches.
Like, wow, great, today's gonna be so busy.
Yeah, and like this was at like 7:30 in the morning, like when this started, because the field trip was I think the field trip was at 9. Yeah, it was at 9 because that's when you were coming in.
Oh,
so the field trip was at 9 o'clock, so of course the rush started at like 7:30 because they needed an hour and a half to get their sandwiches for their kids. So also on this certain day, it was a Tuesday, and on Tuesdays these cute little bus driver ladies come in every single Tuesday and get the exact same sandwich. So I had their sandwich memorized because they came in every single Tuesday, and they came in on Thursdays too. So I knew their sandwich, and I saw them outside, and like at this one little tiny 5-minute section, there was nobody in line getting sandwiches for the field trip. So I saw the bus driver ladies, and I was like, okay, like they're getting a breakfast sandwich. They always come in and go to the bathroom first, and then they come into Subway. So I saw them going to the bathroom, and I started heating up their eggs for their sandwich because they like their eggs extra hot. And like I said, I had their sandwich memorized, so I could start making it while they weren't even in Subway. So I put their egg in the microwave, and then like they come out of the bathroom, the egg's like hot, and I'm getting ready to put it on the bread to bake it in the oven with the meat and everything, and they're just like talking to me, and like I was just asking them like how their day was, blah blah blah, whatever. Well, then in the meantime, while their sandwich is in the toaster, this other lady gets in line, and then the sandwich is out of the toaster, and I take it out and I put it down, and my oven starts beeping for me to take a batch of bread out. Like I said, I was behind on bread because usually at this time I'm done with my bread. Like by the time they come in, I'm usually on my like last load, or like I'm already finished, and I think I still had like 2 in the proofer, which is like crazy. Anyways, so
well, and the thing about like bread too is like we can't just like ignore it and like continue with other people's sandwiches because it's
it'll
so
burn.
easy. Yeah,
like the bread will burn.
Yeah, if it's in the oven, like the bread will burn. Yeah, and then we also have like the proofer, which like makes the bread rise before we bake it. And sometimes so there's like a section where you can like turn off the button so it stops beeping. But like most
it'll
of the
just
time
get too
we
big.
we just forget about it, and then it gets too big. It's too big. It gets too big, and then we can't even bake it. So that's just why we have to stop and like
we have to stop. Like whatever we're doing, if there's bread that is done in the oven, we have to take it out. Like obviously or it'll burn.
Yeah.
So the bread was done in the oven, so I luckily was able to take their sandwich out, and I told them, I'm like, okay, I'll get your veggies like in just 1 second. I have to take this bread out. And there had been like a few times where they'd been in before, and I've had to take bread out of the oven, and they're never like rude about it. Like they're always really understanding. They're like, oh yeah, get your bread. So I start taking the bread out, and I'm like just trying to make small talk with them, and there's still another lady in line behind them at this point because they're bus drivers. I asked them, oh, are you guys going on the field trip today? And they're like, no, we're actually not driving for the field trip. Like we still have to work today, but we're not part of the field trip. So then this other lady that's in line behind them cuts them off and cuts me off as we're like trying to like have a conversation while I'm still working, mind you. And she's like, well, they may not be going on the field trip today, but I am, and I'm kind of in a hurry, so can you hurry and do what you're doing and make my sandwich? So I looked at her and I'm like, I'm taking this bread out of the oven, but then I'll be right with you as soon as I can. So I'm still taking the bread out, and I'm like, oh, so you guys aren't going on the field trip, blah blah blah. And then she's like, can you please just stop talking and stop with the bread and just make my sandwich?
That's the thing about people is too, if they just expect so
like,
much from you.
Can you stop what you're doing? Like, yes,
like, no,
yes, let me just drop this bread like on the ground, around. Like, I'll just close the oven, let the rest of the bread that's in there burn, and I will make your sandwich. So anyways, I like just ignored her that time, and I like kept taking the bread out of the oven.
I would too.
And I like put my head down, and the next thing I know, I look up and she's gone. And the bus driver lady's like, oh, I think you got lucky. She left. And I was like, hallelujah. So then I like finished taking my bread out of the oven, and then I like start getting ready to put their veggies on, and she comes back in, and she is bawling. You guys, like, she's literally in tears, like having a mental breakdown. And I looked at her and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I just really need my sandwich. And I was like, Karlie had came because she was like getting ready to take over my shift, and I'm like, Karlie, can you help the bus drivers? Like, can you finish their sandwich so I can like make this lady sandwich? Because she's like,
I remember
crying.
I was so confused too. Like, I walked in and I just saw her on the other end, like, just her face was so red and just was like tears just coming down, and I looked at Shelby and I was like, what is going on? Like, so I was so confused, and I was just like, I knew the bus drivers too, because I've helped them in the morning sometimes, and so I just went up to them and was just like, hi, like, I'm like, why is that lady crying? Like, it was so weird.
So of course the lady that comes in crying wants a meatball sandwich, and we don't have meatballs because we don't start serving meatballs till 11. And so she's like, of course you don't. I'll just have a 6-inch on wheat then with turkey or something like that. So then I like make her sandwich. She's still like in tears this whole time, by the way, and it gets to the point where we're like I'm about to like ring her up. The bus driver ladies are gone. Karlie's in the back like doing something else, and I'm still trying to leave, by the way. Like, so I like finish making her sandwich, blah blah blah. I ring her up, and then she's like looking for her purse, and she's like, I can't find my money. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, just take it. I'm like,
yeah, you see how nice she was. If I would have been her, I'd been like, are you fucking kidding me?
I was like,
where is your wallet? Pull yourself together, lady.
I said to her, I'm like, just take the sandwich and have a better day. And so then you'd think the story stops there, but oh no. So then the lady leaves, right?
There's more.
And I am getting ready to go buy my Billie Eilish ticket. So I clock out of Subway and I walk over to the gas station where my boss is working at the time, and I went to like buy a drink or something, and he looks at me and goes, Shelby, you made blah 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 cry. Okay, we're just gonna call her Katie. My boss is like, Shelby, you made Katie cry. And I was like, I know, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, what did she, like, she left, like, what was she doing? And he's like, she came over here and asked me if I could go make her sandwich because you were being too slow. So crazy Katie went over and asked my boss over at the gas station if he could stop what he was doing at the gas station and just leave all the customers in the gas station to come over to Subway and make her sandwich because she was in too much of a hurry and I was taking too long. But yet she had time to go do all of that, and heaven forbid she just buy a Lunchable from the fridge and go. But no, she had to come back over and cry. Well, then I like told him, I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, like, I don't know why she was like crying. And he's like, it's okay, like, she's kind of crazy, like, her life's crazy and all this stuff. So then I told my mom about her, and my mom works at the like gas station part with my boss, and so she like knew who the lady was too. My mom's like, she has such a crazy life, like all these different things I'm not going to go into detail about. But that's all the stories we're going to tell in today's video. Like, subscribe, and keep an eye out because we're probably going to film more videos tonight and just upload them over the next few weeks because I definitely need more content on my channel.
We have so much that we can talk about.
Yeah, so keep an eye out, watch the next video, and I will see you guys in the next video, and maybe Karlie will too. Okay, yeah, bye.
Flowers.